Hey everyone, welcome into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. I'm Bobby Sylvester, joined as always by Mike Tagliere. You can follow us on Twitter if you don't already. We're at Bobby Fantasy Pro and at Mike Tagliere NFL. Tag, you ready to talk some Week 12 waiver wire pickups?
I am. I'm even more ready to take some trade questions. Hopefully, we can fly through this waiver wire stuff today and get some questions because I know trade deadlines are coming up and the waiver wire is just—it's really not exciting this week, is all.
Let's do it, man. So, okay, if you guys have questions for the waiver wire, especially for trades, start writing them now because we're going to go from top to bottom. We're going to get to as many of them as we can. And of course, we're not going to be able to get to all of them. If you have more questions, hit us up on Twitter at Bobby Fantasy Pro and at Mike Tagliere NFL. Now, Tags, do you think this is a pretty good waiver wire week? I mean, we've got two running backs that you can stream and start this week.
Potentially. So we're getting news. So we recorded our podcast yesterday, and I said that Jordan Wilkins, if he comes back, it's going to be a little bit muddier. And he's saying that he's going to try and give it a go this week. So I mean, they're playing on Thursday night. If he said that, today, it seems like he's probably going to suit up on Thursday. So that is going to cloud it a little bit for Jonathan Williams, who was already someone that I was a little bit worried about with game scripts coming into it. So, I mean, if you're picking him up, just understand that there's some risk involved with him. And him and Bo Scarborough are the two running backs that I think everybody's talking about. And Scarborough is I don't even know if I want to say safer because it's like the Lions, even with Ty
Johnson's back too. He's going to practice all week. Is he going to be the starter if Scarborough was a lot better than Johnson's been?
I would imagine Scarborough's probably going to get the first and second down role, but I mean, we really can't say with any certainty. And again, if somehow that game goes negatively for them, Scarborough's not involved in the passing game at all.
Right.
But again, teams have been able to rack up the rushing attempts against Washington. So, I mean, Jonathan Williams looked like the pickup, but now it's clouded up a little bit because Jordan Wilkins is more of a 3-down back than he is. And I mean, Jonathan Williams is a guy that's been in the NFL for like 4 years. And I think to his name, I don't even think he has 30 carries in the NFL.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to get into it. We'll touch on those guys again when we get to them, but let's start at the top of our list where we've got Dallas Goedert, tight end of the Philadelphia Eagles. Is he your top tight end pickup of the week?
Yeah, he is. He's basically like, stop treating him like a tight end, I think, and just starting treating him like a wide receiver. With
Sure.
Alshon Jeffrey not playing for the Eagles, they're really short pass catch. I mean, bringing in Jordan Matthews off the street, a guy that wasn't playing at all for anybody, and it's like putting him into your lineup and getting 5 targets is kind of ridiculous. Nelson Aguilar saw 9 targets this past week. It just goes to show that they're really they're missing so many players. They're not running the ball particularly well this season. Jordan Howard hasn't been cleared. Let's not pretend that Jay Ajayi is going to come in and just steal the show. So it's like treat him like a wide receiver. Basically, they have Zach Ertz as their tight end and treat Goddard like a receiver who happens to play the tight end position that you can stream every week. So I think he's like an every week starter right now with a good matchup against Seattle.
I'm definitely starting him this week. I've got him in my top 10 tight ends because he does qualify at tight end. And you can look at his game logs and be like, well, he hasn't really been that great. Since he joined essentially the starting lineup, he's playing 70, 80% of snaps per game, which is elite for a tight end. He's played Minnesota, Dallas, Buffalo, Chicago, New England. Tags, those are 5 of the toughest matchups for a passing team.
Yeah, and Seattle is not really a tough matchup, and Seattle has not played a great slate of quarterbacks. Like I think they've had like 2 tough matchups this year, and they've struggled in those matchups. So I'm pretty excited about Goddard this week. He'll be ranked as a top 10 tight end.
After this week, he's got Miami, the Giants, Washington, and Dallas. Now, Tags, I like Cameron Brate a little bit more. We'll get to him later just for this week. But let's talk about Randall Cobb a little bit. So you kind of talked me off the ledge here about Randall Cobb. He's going up against the Patriots. He's got the best matchup on the field. He's been really hot lately, 7+ targets in 3 straight games, 100+ yards and a score in each of the last 2 games. But do you have him as a wide receiver 4 this week?
Yeah, he's not going to be ranked as in the top 36 for me this week. I mean, you look at what New England's done. I know they haven't played particularly great competition, but Randall Cobb is a guy that, I mean, he pops up on the radar from time to time, and he makes you feel like you want to start him, but he's not that guy. He's basically the Cole Beasley in this offense, and we've been there. We've done that. We know that there's going to be games here and there, but you don't want to rely on it. And I think he just had that game last week. Looking at New England, the matchup they present is the best matchup in the slot. Yeah, I guess. But there's only been, I think, 5 wide receivers this year who have scored more than 10 PPR points against New England. And 8 targets. Every receiver that scored more than that saw 8 targets. The only touchdown that they've allowed to a wide receiver was to Golden Tate on that, and it was like a broken play where it's just like there was a couple of missed tackles. Randall Cobb's not that guy. He doesn't break very many tackles. He's not Golden Tate after the catch. So it's just basically not attacking New England if you don't have to. And there's other players that are available on the waiver wire you can stream instead.
He was a good play each of the last 3 weeks, and it paid off
At this time, just because Pollard is a guy that has, he's more of a 3-down back, and it seems like Dallas wants to stick with one running back and like a one-back system. Whereas like if you go to Minnesota, they haven't really used Alexander Madison in a passing down role. It seems like teams have started to catch up and say, we're going to stop your run. We're going to force you to beat us through the air. Fortunately, because Kirk Cousins has been able to do that. But I'd probably go with Pollard here just because I think that he would be getting the lion's share of touches behind a better offensive line. So they're in the similar boat, though. They're both guys that I would try and handcuff if possible.
I think that's fair. If you're going to make the playoffs, there's no sense in having a fourth running back like Tags. I mean, would you drop LaShawn McCoy right now for an Alexander Madison if McCoy was your fourth running back?
Oh, not knowing what's going on with Damian Williams, if he's going to miss any time, I don't think I would do it just yet. I just want to. I would like to hear what's going on with Damian Williams before I do that because
they're on the bye. Then they get Oakland, a good run defense. The Patriots, the Broncos, the Bears. Would you start LaShawn McCoy in any of those games over your RB2 or your RB3? I don't think you would. I'd rather have the guy that could be an RB1, Alexander Madison.
Yeah, I guess it depends. If you need a running back, then obviously keep McCoy. But if it's just a bench stash and you're never going to use these guys without injury, I'm with you on that one.
All right, Tags. I agree. Pollard and Madison are the two best stashes in all of fantasy football right now. If you've got the roster space, bye weeks are coming to an end. These guys need to be owned in every single league. We've seen guys like this before win leagues when their starter goes down. And it's a possibility with guys getting 25, 30 touches per game like Zeke and Dalvin Cook. Now, Tags, Darius Slayton, a lot of people are going to be excited to pick him up this week. I don't really think it's a good idea, though.
No, not against the Bears. I mean, I know he saw 14 targets before the bye, and a lot of people probably picked him up last week. And if he's still available on your waiver wire, I'm not running to the wire to get him. Sterling Shepard returned to practice on Monday, so it seems like he's going to be back this week. The Bears have just been a tough matchup in terms of overall for wide receivers. So if one wide receiver comes out of the game against them as a fantasy asset, you should consider yourself lucky. Knowing that he's the number 3 target on that offense behind Golden Tate, behind Sterling Shepard, I don't want to play him. I mean, Sterling Shepard's been out the last month, and there's been one game where I think that you were able to rely on him for constant production. I mean, there's just nothing at all that suggests that he's going to be locked into a big role in this offense. I just don't see it right now. And Daniel Jones has been really hit or miss. He's done well in really good matchups, and he's done terribly in the other matchups. And I would not consider the Bears a good matchup for them.
Yep, I would agree with that. I love Darius Slayton maybe more than anybody in the industry. I've been really excited about it for a while, but if he's not going to get the targets, and he's not when Shepard comes back, they've got Shepard, Ingram, Golden Tate, Saquon Barkley. Slayton's at best the 5th option on this team, and it's not a very good offense to begin with. So it's a bummer he's not getting as many targets, but I think we should probably ignore him. Now, Tag's a guy that we can't ignore if you need a running back is Williams. Just how much fab are you willing to spend on him? Is he a number 1 waiver wire priority guy?
I don't think he's a number 1 priority guy. I mean, the guys that we're talking about that would have number 1 priority are the guys that we're talking about rostering, the guys like Madison and Pollard. Those are the guys that you obviously, you waste your number 1 priority on. But we don't even know if Jonathan Williams is going to have the starting role. It could be Jordan Wilkins. And that's why I'm unwilling to kind of spend. I mean, I'm not going to get him. Knowing what I know in terms of the leagues that I'm in, people are going to spend money because we're getting towards the end of the year. They need a running back. It's the last week of bye weeks. So people are going to do it. If you need a running back for this week, it's so tough because I really don't even want to say that Bo Scarborough is safe because he's not. Both of these backfields are really tough to predict. So I guess
fringe RB2s, RB3s this week. I mean, I was excited about them yesterday, but the more we look at it, it's another lame week.
It is. Jalen Samuels, if for whatever reason someone dropped him, if he's on your waiver wire, he's someone that I'd be willing to waste the number 1 priority on. It seems like James Conner's probably going to miss at least this week. And Jalen Samuels, I'm going to have him ranked as a high-end RB2 in their matchup against the Bengals. So if you're desperate and you're well, I don't want to spend to get Jonathan Williams. I don't want to spend to get Bo Scarborough. Someone that you could probably look at that you can get for free is Trey Edmonds. Trey Edmonds is he's a guy that saw 12 carries in the one game that James Conner left really early. So Knowing that Jalen Samuels has averaged just 2.6 yards per carry, they could decide to give Edmonds a bigger role. And again, without their pass catchers, there's just so many things going on in Pittsburgh right now, and they're playing against the Bengals. So that's like a bottom of the barrel guy, Trey Edmonds.
Okay, Tag. So you said that Dallas Goedert's your favorite tight end. I mentioned Cameron Brate's mine. He had 14 targets last week against the toughest team in fantasy football to go up against for tight ends. This week he goes into Atlanta. Is he the starter? Can we trust him? Is he in your top 12 in this matchup?
I don't really feel like you need to play him. There's just so much uncertainty here where it's like OJ Howard is a guy that they're building. I don't want to say they're building their franchise around, but he's one of those franchise players that they're going to be with for a long time. When you have rumors come out that OJ Howard acknowledged and said, yeah, they don't want to trade me. Like, it makes sense. But the Patriots said that they wanted to trade for him. There was another team that tried trading for him. They're not going to give up on him after one fumble. It's not like OJ Howard has had a fumbling issue throughout his career. My issue with this entire thing is that people were saying that OJ Howard wasn't producing because Bruce Arians hates tight ends. And now, because of 1 week where Cameron Brate gets 14 targets, all of a sudden people are saying, now Cameron Brate. And I'm like, I mean, I get 14 targets is hard to ignore, but if you look at even when OJ Howard was out, Cameron Brate didn't really produce. So it's like, I think this is a one-off situation. It's very possible that they go back to just splitting the snaps again and they kind of cancel each other out. Sure. I would prefer Brate over Howard right now, but that's not saying much. So I just think that there's better streamers available, like someone like a Ryan Griffin. I would rather stream him this week than someone like Cameron Brate.
I definitely agree with you about Ryan Griffin. I could understand Dallas Goedert for sure. Dallas Goedert's a great start. I've got him in several leagues, and I'm streaming him this week. But I would prefer Cameron Brate just a little bit. Now back on over to wide receiver, where we've got James Washington. Looks like Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be out. Deontay Johnson's going to be out. So James Washington, the lone healthy starter. And it's Mason Rudolph, I get it, but they're going up against Cincinnati. It's a very good matchup.
Yeah, they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit. And this is one that we talked about in the waiver wire show. And I kind of was like, I don't know how I feel. But, even if Deontay Johnson, it seems like he's more likely to make it back because they do have an extra 3 days to clear that concussion protocol. But Juju had a knee injury in addition to the concussion. So my guess is that Juju's out, that Deontay plays. And that's probably a good thing for someone like James Washington. I hadn't even realized, like, he's kind of been under the radar in terms of like the targets he's been getting in this offense. Like, it's been coming up and up and up, and knowing that Connor's going to be out and Juju's going to be out, I'd be surprised.
200 yards in the last 3 weeks, Tags. He's playing decent football.
Yeah, he's been putting up some numbers, and I know it's been some good matchups. And this is another one where it's like, okay, but my only concern here is that Mike Tomlin's not an idiot. He's not going to go into Cincinnati and say, Mason Rudolph, we're going to have you throw the ball. I think they're legitimately going to throw the ball as little as humanly possible in this game. So it's possible that we see like an 18 to 22 attempt game, which could really crush the ceiling of guys like James Washington. But he is that deep threat where he offers that one play, that one deep ball, because his average depth of target is far greater than anybody else in that team. So Washington is creeping up, and I think that I'm going to end up ranking him as like a decent wide receiver 4 that should have a decent floor performance.
Tags, Bo Scarborough, we talked about him quite a bit.
Yeah.
There is some risk with the game script. There's some risk that Ty Johnson takes over. There's a lot of risk that Bo Scarborough is just not very good. But if he gets 15 touches, he's got to be worth starting this week, right?
Yeah, that's something else I was like trying to figure out, because I'm like, this Lions backfield has been a mess to try and predict. But then I was looking and I was like, okay, Washington has faced it's a league high 27.9 carries per game by running backs. That's not even including rushing attempts by quarterbacks, but 27.9 per game, 33.6 touches per game to running backs. That's huge. Like, that's a big number. So even if it is a timeshare, JD McKissick, we know they don't want to give more than like 6 to 8 touches to. They just don't want to do that. Ty Johnson is a guy that's been disappointing. He was active last week. They could have given him that workload, but Bo Scarborough played well in a tough matchup against Dallas. So he should ask with it. So I'm not going to say that he's like a lock or anything.
I would agree with that. Okay, Allen Lazard is the last guy on our list. He's your favorite wide receiver. Now, I get it.
Why were people drafting Marquez Valdez-Scantling this year? They were drafting him because we want Aaron Rodgers number 2. Why were people drafting Geronimo Allison? Because he can support 2 fantasy-relevant wide receivers. Right. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams have kind of taken some of some of that away in terms of downs, like as much as he is. They're going to go somewhere. And it's like Aaron Rodgers, he's flashed in terms of what he can bring on a week-to-week basis. And if Lazard is playing snaps and he's getting in there as the number 2 receiver, and Allison isn't performing as the slot receiver, like, because Allison's role is not changing. This is all about Bell to pick up and stash. I'm not saying to start him this week against San Francisco, but I do think he's worth a stash.
Yep, I would agree with that as well. Okay, Tags, you ready to get to the questions?
I am ready.
Hey, by the way, if you guys are enjoying the show, if you don't mind hitting the like button, tells our bosses that you guys are appreciating the content, and we make it a priority when that stuff happens. Now, Tags, here's the first question. And by the way, we've got a couple more live streams coming up later in the week. I do a live one on Thursday talking starter sit, answering your questions. Tags does one on Sunday, so hit that subscribe button as well if you're not already. All right, tight end question. He's got Ebron and Kittle. What are the chances Kittle plays, and should I drop Ebron for Dwelly as insurance?
I don't think so. I think I'd just rather play Ebron this week. He's someone that I'm going to rank really high against Houston. Like, he's played, so since joining the Colts, he's played 3 games with them. I've already researched this game, and Ebron has scored in every game that they've played against Houston. And knowing that he's playing in a full-time role with no T.Y. Hilton, I think Ebron's like an auto start for me in this game. I have him right now, and I'm slowly adding all my rankings, but I think he's going to be ranked as a top 6 tight end for me this week.
Yeah, I would. Well, I don't know about top 6, but I've definitely got him in my top 8. So I agree with that. Ebron is the way to go. Let's keep going here. Next question. I have Brian Hill. Is he worth dropping and replacing him with someone like Jonathan Williams or Scarborough? Because Brian Hill does not have good matchups, and Freeman's coming back soon.
No, I would probably keep Brian Hill over those guys, though, because at least we know while Devonta Freeman's out, he's a lead back. We don't know that about Jonathan Williams. We don't know that about Bo Scarborough. So even though Brian Hill sucked and it was like a terrible week for fantasy owners and DFS
kind of.
players,
I mean, he got in the end zone. It was just called back.
It was, but he played terribly. Like, I watched that game and he was not very good. He didn't take advantage of the opportunity in front of him. But again, he is going to be the lead running back there. They're not going to give anybody else that job. So I would imagine he's going to have that job for at least one more week, which is basically all you're guaranteed. And I don't even think you're guaranteed it with Jonathan Williams. So I'd hang on to Brian Hill.
All right, next one. Should I use Hollister as tight end instead of Waller or as a flex?
I would not do that. Not in this matchup. I do like Hollister as like someone that should be grabbed, but I am not going to play him over Darren Waller. Waller just gets too many targets. And if you look at the games that Hollister's
slowing down lately, but I mean, it's still enough that he's a must start
for sure. And yeah, he's a guy that I want to say he got into the end zone this weekend, and that got called back or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, I remember watching that game. But Hollister is someone that, like, the production that he's had has come in games where Russell Wilson has thrown the ball quite a bit. I don't think that they want to throw the ball a whole lot in terms of, like, that's not a weekly thing that they want to do. The matchup against Philadelphia is really tough. Like, Jim Schwartz's scheme it schemes very well against tight ends. I'm not betting against tight ends that play for Russell Wilson because it's a good thing. So I'm going to have him ranked higher than I would typically a player in his situation. But I would still say that Waller is definitely the play.
Right. Let's see here. Cooks. No, that's a start sit question. We're going to save that. Because Tags and I are going to do a lot more research on the games and formulate our opinions on that.
Yeah.
So let's just go with the waiver wire stuff and trade. Okay, here's a trade for you, Tags. You excited? Zeke for Chubb and Sony Michel. Which side would you prefer?
Give me Chubb and Michel. I mean, Nick Chubb has been better than Ezekiel.
What's really the difference between Chubb and Zeke at this point?
There really hasn't been, like, and Chubb has a good schedule coming up in terms of the games they have. Like, this week he's going to go off. Zeke is going to lose
25 touches every game.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, like, he's had 20 carries in each of the games that Kareem Hunt's been there. I would definitely say that I would take the Chubb and Michel side, because I think Sony Michel is a guy that you can snag, and his playoff schedule is fantastic. He's playing against the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Bills. Those are three of the worst teams against the run.
Do we know anything about Robert Woods, Tags? What's going on with him?
No, that's a personal thing, and they're saying that he's still dealing with it. They're not releasing any information about it, but usually when you hear that personal situation, it's usually something that, and if the team is respecting that, it's probably something not great. Like, we heard this before with guys like Marquise Goodwin. So, hopefully everything's okay with Robert Woods and his family, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be back anytime soon. And I would be prepared to be without him this week, but it does sound like Brandon Cooks is coming back. Yes.
Yeah. All right. PPR, that's a start sit. Let's see. Would you rather pick up Slayton or Cobb?
If you're playing someone this week, I mean, I mentioned him on the Waiver Wire podcast, is Taylor Gabriel, I think, is a decent play at wide receiver this week, because, like, you're going to have Janoris Jenkins covering Allen Robinson, which is a tougher matchup, but that's basically a sleeper play, but no, we probably should have put him in the list this week, but I think it was more like we have to find out about injuries. Nelson Aguilar, if Alshon Jeffrey does not play, Nelson Aguilar is going to be worthy of a wide receiver 3 start this week.
I think
And
you're
he should be
probably right,
available
but I wouldn't
everywhere.
feel good about it, man.
But he should be
He is
available
available
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he saw 9 targets against the Patriots last week, and I know that that ball that he dropped in the end zone, it would have been a tough catch. I mean, Julio Jones makes that catch, but he saw 9 targets. He finished with 4 catches for 40 yards. Not the worst case scenario against the Patriots, but he's going to see targets in that offense. And going against Seattle, Seattle's not like a shutdown defense or anything that you need to avoid with wide receivers. So I would say like he's someone that's available in most leagues. I would say that he's a better play than either of those guys.
All right, Tag. Cynthia has Mahomes on bye. Which quarterback do you feel most confident about picking up?
Baker?
Yeah, if Baker's available. She's actually got Aaron Rodgers, but it's not the best matchup. So would you just rather stick with Aaron Rodgers?
I haven't researched that game yet. But
how did she get Mahomes and Rodgers?
I mean, someone could have dropped Rodgers potentially.
I guess so. Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm probably going to wind up having Mayfield.
Yeah.
And Rodgers, I mean,
they're both going to be right around 10, 11, 12 for me.
Yeah, I'd say Mayfield might have the higher floor though.
All right, we need a tight end this week. Pick up Hollister, Doyle, Goddard, or Griffin. I'm going Goddard of that group.
I would go Goddard as well.
Close, though.
I would go Goddard as well.
All right, with Kelsey on bye, who's the best streaming tight end? Goddard.
Yeah, Goddard is the one.
Although I'm still going Cameron Brate.
And if he's not available, if Goddard is not available, I'd say Ryan Griffin is someone I would stream. I think Vance McDonald has some appeal to him. Mike Gesicki against Cleveland. Those are all good matchups.
Somebody says it's time for me to pay up. I don't know what they're talking about. I can't remember losing any bets.
Well, I mean, you still hadn't paid up for the chocolate shake that I did on my head, but that's a story for a different day. But yeah, no, he didn't lose a bet this week. I don't know. We might be having like a DFS contest this week, but we don't know yet.
All right, who can I trade David Johnson for? Justin, I don't know if anyone wants to trade for David Johnson. Do you think there's a sucker out there, Tags?
Nope. I mean, I wouldn't.
You can try. Try.
Dan and I talked about it. You can probably drop him, and it's crazy to say that, but I mean, if you want to wait after the bye, but are you going to feel comfortable putting him in your lineup?
If you drop him, I'm picking him up.
I mean,
just in case. I have no idea. I have no idea, but there's a chance.
So he has the bye week, and then in week 13 he's going to come back. You're not going to trust him the first game. You need to like at least see him in a role, like where he actually gets touches. And then after that, it's week 14 is the first week of the fantasy playoffs. He plays Pittsburgh, so it's like
that sucks. But I mean, who's more likely to give you an RB2 performance at some point in the season? David Johnson or Alexander Madison?
Madison.
You think so? Okay. I mean,
I think Kenyan
guess
Drake,
we can disagree there, but
I think Kenyan Drake is running with the job in terms of like what I saw from David Johnson the last time he was on a football field. It was not good. Like
it was
that running back.
Really
that running back that I saw basically he'd be starting, like he'd be behind so many players in this league in terms of touches, and Kenyan Drake actually looks good.
But like you've had back spasms before, right? If he just had back spasms, maybe he can come back in 2 weeks and be fine.
I don't think he does though, because back spasms go away. They can be like literally from night to night. That can change. But like having structural things wrong with your back, like I've had fractured vertebrae, I've had slip discs, I've had all that stuff. I've had a fusion on my back, so I know back injuries. And to make room, like if I were dropping for Darius Geis, yeah, I would.
All right, Jacob Hollister or Noah Fant, Tags
this week? Really go with Fant.
Okay. Who should I trade Amari Cooper for? I have Chris Godwin. I wouldn't trade Amari Cooper.
I thought
actually, I don't know. Amari Cooper actually looked banged up this last game. I'm a little bit worried about him, but
I think Amari's fine. I don't know what day it comes out, because I kind of like fill out this list and then they post it, and how he's performed. He has majorly outperformed all expectations, and he's a player that should, go above average, but he was like towards. I mean, I'm not going to trade him for Odell Beckham. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to trade him for Edelman. I'm not going to trade him for Keenan Allen. So it's like Amari Cooper is still a top 10 wide receiver, even if
but maybe Amari Cooper plus for Nick Chubb. That's what I would be trying to do.
If you can get Mike Evans for him, I would do that.
That's really close. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Mike Evans. Would you trade Joe Mixon for Kenyan Drake?
Joe Mixon for Kenyan Drake. I'd probably want to look at the rest of their schedules before making that call. because you have to worry about Drake. It's the bye week, and that's like legitimately that's worrisome because that's 20% of the season that we have left. We only have 5 games left to the fantasy season. Then after that, it is the Rams, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Seattle.
I prefer Mixon.
And Mixon, what's his schedule look like? Is it bad? Is it Pittsburgh this week? The Jets, not a good matchup.
Yep.
Cleveland, New England, Miami. If you can get through New England to Miami, that's nice. But I guess it's Mixon because I don't have any concerns about him losing the job, but it's close.
After a good week, would you trade away Austin Eckler, and who would you target? They need a running back over anything else. I would definitely trade Eckler. I mean, there's going to be games like this where he gets, 9 receptions for 90 yards. And
who would you trade him for? Like, would you trade him for David Montgomery?
Yeah. Oh, big time, man.
What about Philip Lindsay?
Oh, I would trade 3 Austin Ecklers for Philip Lindsay.
I think he's in that conversation with Philip Lindsay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, wow. I would actually take Eckler over Mixon.
You would? Okay.
I would. Yeah.
I don't have Eckler anywhere. I'd trade him to you for Mixon.
Yeah, no, Rivers is struggling right now, man. He's like really struggling. And that's like the safety valve, the guy that he's just kind of like leaning on when he's struggling, and he's not throwing interceptions when he's targeting Philip Dorsett. So,
I think Rivers is hurt, man. He looks like he's hurting.
He might be at the end of his career, man. He's a not mobile quarterback. Like he's a dad of like 10 kids. I mean, if you guys have kids, I only have 2. Bobby's got like 10, but like it ages you, man. Like Tom Brady isn't chasing 10 kids around. So unfortunately, it could just be a bad stretch for him, but he doesn't look good.
Raphael wants to know how I'm doing in the Free Market Powers League. I am proud to report that I am in first place. But I just had a vampire steal Chris Godwin from me, so not looking good. AJ Green is sitting on the waivers. Do you think he could be a league winner, Tags?
I finally gave up on it.
I'm picking him up too once I get past buys, man. I'm fine. If AJ Green comes back, I don't know if he can be a league winner, but he would immediately be a wide receiver too.
I don't think so. Not with Ryan Finley. He's not. That guy sucks.
I mean, with Andy Dalton, he was a wide receiver 1 every single season in his career while he was healthy.
Dalton's a competent
maybe he goes down to a wide receiver 2.
Dude, Tyler Boyd just had a 0-yard game against the Raiders. Like
AJ Green is 20 times better than Tyler Boyd.
I'm not saying that he's not. What I'm saying is like it just goes to show you cannot trust Bengals wide receivers. You can't. Like and AJ Green, let's be real about it though. He's not coming back. And the reason I say that, and that's the reason I'm willing to drop him. We're now entering week 12. The team has 0 wins. They have a rookie quarterback starting that has shown that he's not very good. Why, when AJ Green is about to be a free agent this offseason, now they're going to franchise tag him, but why in the world would he go out there and risk injuring himself? There's no reason.
So he can show that he can still play football. I mean, It's been a year since he played football.
Everybody knows AJ Green can still play ball. I have no concerns about that. If I'm a GM of a team, it's more about like this is his brand. And if he gets hurt and has like a career-ending injury, he gets nothing.
So that's a good point, man.
I wouldn't do it.
All right, rest of the season, Devin Singletary or Sony Michel? Devin Singletary for me. Don't do it, Tags. Don't do it, Tags.
I'm going Sony.
Oh, I knew it.
No, dude,
it's close.
Singletary, it's close. No. So Singletary, the reason I say that, he's not going to win you a fantasy championship. This is the point in the year where I'm willing to make some bold statements. I am willing to trade away Devin Singletary for kind of pennies on the dollar. And you don't have to do that, but I'm saying his playoff schedule, like if I were to draw up the worst possible playoff schedule, he has it. He's playing Baltimore in week 14, Pittsburgh in week 15, and then the Patriots in week 16. This is brutal. Like, you can't script up a worse one. And by the way, I know he's been like playing more snaps and getting more touches than Frank Gore the last 3 weeks, but he fumbled twice this week. And because I went back and watched that game, he fumbled twice. He didn't lose either of the fumbles. They recovered them, but it could just lead the Bills to say, you know what, we're going to keep a timeshare. Frank Gore, we at least know he protects the ball.
All right. Is it time to drop AJ Green or Matthew Stafford?
Both. I mean, yeah, both. You could stream quarterbacks and be fine.
Yeah, definitely. No sense in hanging on to Stafford unless it's a 2 QB league. Okay, let's see here. Breida, Hyde, and AP are all available in this league, so it's probably a more shallow league. Would you play any of them over Williams or Scarborough?
Yes.
Hyde for sure.
Hyde for sure. Yeah, I don't even like his matchup this week, but I'd still play Hyde over them. And I mean, Matt Breida, we don't know if he's going to play. If I knew he was going to play, I'd say Matt Breida.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome if Matt Breida played, but you never know with this guy. So, hey, by the way, did you notice Raheem Mostert outsnapped Tevin Coleman? Should we panic about Tevin Coleman?
Kind of. He hasn't played very well.
He had one good game. One good game.
Yep. And it seemed like, I mean, he was getting the touches, and now it seems like they're just slowly just kind of going with a full blown timeshare. Unfortunately, that's the way it's kind of going to be. But Tevin Coleman was that guy in Atlanta too. Like when he got the workhorse role, he wasn't really good in it. He's kind of better in that change of pace role.
All right. YouTube accidentally skipped down to the very bottom of the comments. I'm trying to go back to where I was. Found it. All right, here we go. Looking for a question. Should I trade Aaron Jones for Nick Chubb? This one is so close, Tags. I think I'd prefer Jones.
I would prefer Jones, yes.
Okay. 8-person league. I have Kamara as RB1, but my RB2 is Melvin Gordon on a bye. Who's a viable replacement?
It depends on who's available.
It's really hard to tell who's available in an 8-team league.
Yeah. Maybe Sony Michel's available.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is Will Fuller, if Will Fuller is active and you have a bad bye week situation, do you play him right away, Tags?
I mean, it depends. And like that's always the toughest thing. It's like, that's why that start sit articles and stuff like that are really tough for me. Cause I'm like, I don't know who's in your roster. I don't know who's on the waiver wire. It's really tough to say. I mean, knowing the opportunity he was getting in the offense, like he was on limited practices all last week. So it told me that he was close to playing. But if he's playing on this Thursday night, I think that they've played it safe with him. So I mean, Indianapolis doesn't allow a whole lot of deep plays, but I mean, if you're choosing between Will Fuller and someone like Tyler Boyd, I'd probably just take the upside in Fuller.
All right, next one. Would you hold or cut Deedee Westbrook?
I would hold. I would hold on him. I don't think. I wouldn't cut him.
Jalen Samuels worth the number 1 waiver wire pickup?
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Priority. I'm sorry, not pickup.
Yeah, he would be the number 1 priority. I'd have him over the other running backs on the list this week, easy, because like he's going to start this week and he's involved in the passing game. It's like an easy check down for Mason Rudolph. Yeah. So even if they do pass, it's like, hey, take care of the football. That's gonna be a lot of check downs, kind of like he did against the Colts.
Rest of season: Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan.
Watson.
Yeah, Watson for me as well. PPR, is it worth it to drop Hollywood Brown or Ronald Jones for Ryan Griffin? Big no for me.
No, I wouldn't.
Can I pick up? I can pick up the Bears or the Broncos DST. Who would you prefer this week?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. The Bears pass rush hasn't been there. It really hasn't. It's kind of crazy to say that. Josh Allen hasn't turned the ball over in like 5 straight games in terms of like interceptions, but
he's really impressive, man. This kid has improved so much.
Yeah, he has. I'm going to take the Bears because they're at home. I'll take them over the Broncos who are on the road. So yeah, I'll go with the home team here. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Best PPR streamer, Goddard, Griffin, Hollister. We already said Goddard. Top waiver wire pickup priority this week. 2-game lead in first place. Do I pick up Jonathan Williams or Bo Scarborough or hold?
Hold. Yeah,
hold.
I don't use it.
I agree with that. Yep, definitely agree. All right, let's see here. I'm a lock for the playoffs. Should I add both Pollard and Madison? My running backs are Bell, Chubb, Gordon, and James White. Oh, man, no wonder you're locked for the playoffs.
I don't drop any of those guys if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, no, don't drop any of them. But, I mean, if you can afford to pick them up, if you've got a second quarterback or a second tight end or a second DST you can drop, or some crummy wide receiver 5, yeah, I'd much rather own Pollard or Madison than those guys, because who knows what's going to happen. Maybe Melvin Gordon suffers an injury.
Well, guys, yeah, think about it this way, okay? Like your roster has been like recycled, all throughout the past, how many 8 weeks with bye weeks going on? I think it's been 8 weeks. You're finally able to set your lineup and just say, okay, well, these are my starters. I'm riding with them. We know who's who at this point. And like, you might do a switch here and there, but most leagues have like 6 bench spots. There are not 6 players that are going to go in and out of your lineup. That's why at this point in the year,
exactly,
you get rid of the guys that you're never going to play, that are not going to win your championship. You take the upside guys who benefit if there's an injury in front of them. That's why I'm saying Alan Lazard is one of those guys I keep on the bench as a wide receiver. You can make the case for AJ Green, I guess, but if he's available on the waiver wire, but I just don't trust that situation. But that's why we talk about Alexander Madison and Tony Pollard so much, is because these are guys that legitimately, if there was an injury ahead of them, they would be league winners.
Yep, absolutely.
Also, can I make a PSA? Trade
Sure.
for Latavius Murray right now, because his value has never been lower. People are waiting to drop him. Buy him right now. If you're in a league where someone like, don't just go directly after him, because then the other owner won't know what's going on. Package deal, like send him and another player, or send 2 players for 2 players or something like that. Make it work.
Oh, in case anything happens to Kamara.
He has multiple value.
I mean,
right?
who has more upside? Seriously, Madison or Latavius Murray?
Latavius, if something,
I think so too, man.
Yeah, and I think Latavius.
We saw him get 30 touches.
Mm-hmm. And I think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Latavius Murray offers standalone value as a flex most weeks too. Like this week, I actually like Latavius Murray. I'm gonna have him ranked as like probably a top 25, 28 running back this week. So yeah, get Latavius.
Tags, you've had a lot of good calls this year. That's the best call you've had since I've met you. That was so good, man.
Thanks, dude.
I'm gonna go acquire Latavius Murray. That's a great call. All right, let's take 2 more. N'Keal Harry, Lazard, or Paris Campbell as a stash.
All right, N'Keal, Lazard, and who?
Paris Campbell.
Oh, this one's easy for me. It's Lazard.
Me too. Harry's interesting because he's going to be a starter this week if Philip Dorsett's out. He passed Jacoby Myers in the depth chart, but it's still Lazard for me.
Yeah, he's still the number 3 target. Well, actually, I'd say the number 4 target in the passing game. He's behind Edelman, he's behind Sanu, and he would be behind James White. So he's still the number 4 target. He's a guy that should be rostered for sure. But yeah.
All right, Tags. Last one. Should I drop Sammy Watkins for Ryan Griffin?
No.
I want it. I mean,
believe me, it's frustrating.
Is Sammy Watkins droppable?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
You're not dropping, like the guys you're dropping him for are not sure things either. But yeah, when you have a guy that it's mind blowing, really. And I think that Sammy Watkins actually benefits from Tyreek Hill on the field than he does like if he's not in the lineup. So the Tyreek Hill injury does nothing for me. But
the rest of the season schedule is horrendous.
It is bad, but when you're getting 8 targets a game from Patrick Mahomes, it's like regression will kick in at some point.
Against New England, against Denver, against Chicago.
If Tyreek Hill is back, maybe. Because Tyreek Hill does he there's so much attention that he draws from the defense that Sammy Watkins in one-on-one situations, he should be able to win them. So I wouldn't drop Sammy.
Like, I know Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson have been so good that we've kind of forgotten that Patrick Mahomes is incredible.
He didn't look good. He didn't look so good.
4 touchdowns against New England. Would it surprise you at all, Tags?
No, it wouldn't at all.
No, it wouldn't at all. And if 2 of them went to Sammy Watkins, it would not surprise me at all. I'm starting Sammy Watkins in all those weeks without question.
Well, Watkins had 2 touchdowns and like 150 plus yards against the Jags with Jalen Ramsey. And I mean,
he did. Yes, he did.
That was like one of the biggest games of the fantasy season. So it's like, we've seen it before. It's frustrating for sure. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Sammy Watkins has lived up to any expectations because he's been bad. But at the same time, the guys you're dropping him for are probably worse.
Tags, I have to get a bonus question in here because I just saw this one pop up. I keep getting people asking me, who should I trade Saquon for? Why would we trade Saquon?
Why sell low? I mean, honestly, like the Bears this week are a good matchup. Saquon is essentially the same running back he was last year. He's just not breaking the big plays. He may have come back from the ankle injury a little bit too soon, and maybe the bye week helped that. But if Sterling Shepard comes back to the lineup, it's going to help because it's like all these guys get on the field at the same time. It's like teams can't just key in on Saquon, but all he needs to do is break a big run or two. And all of a sudden people are going to be like, oh, that's why we were drafting him at number 1 overall. I wasn't drafting him at number 1 overall, but I still have him as my number 6 running back for the rest of the season. So, I mean, if you can land Aaron Jones for him, great. If you can get Alvin Kamara for him, great. But outside of,
I would. Oh, I'm taking Saquon over both those guys, dude.
Really?
Yeah, man. Get out of here.
Nah, I think about it, and I think about like the best case scenario with Saquon is that he breaks one of those long runs each week and he's fine. But Aaron Jones is like continually done it.
He gets like 12 carries a game, man.
But he performs like he plays for a much better offense. And
is he going to continue to get 2-3 touchdowns every game? That's what it comes down to.
Not every game, no. But I'm still like whenever somebody asks me a question about trading away Aaron Jones, I'm hesitant because I'm like, I don't want to trade him away. Like I don't think you have to.
He's a first round pick next year. We're drafting him in the first round.
For
just
sure.
Like you said at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. I mean, he's just been so friggin' good. And
he's just not being used in the passing game as much since Adams came back. I don't know, man. I'd rather have Saquon.
Yeah. No, I understand the point for both sides, but that's the range you're in.
It's not going to matter. If you have one of those guys, that means you don't have Christian McCaffrey, so you're not going to win your league.
Just don't sell. Just don't do. I mean, my concern is that they shut down Christian McCaffrey because they're just not a good team. But
Ooh, yikes.
Hopefully not.
Christian McCaffrey wouldn't let that happen. He would go in that office and start body slamming coaches.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
He's really strong, man. Okay, that's all for today's live stream. That was a lot of fun. If you guys enjoyed the show, please hit the like button, subscribe for future content. We've got a couple more live streams coming up. Thanks for watching and enjoy your football.